month. Just a bit of an update. 4 things to tell you about. First, my wife and family decided that we'd have another puppy. We had a border terrier last year who was 12 and died, so we now got a puppy. So as I'm the only one retired at home all day, I've got the puppy care duties during the day, which means I just get odd hours when she's asleep when I can come and do stuff. Second piece of news, you'll have spotted the obvious. 2 weeks ago, I was going up to the VMCC Founders Day bike show near Lutterworth, got to Kettering, pulled off the A14 to get some petrol, just going back to the A14, round one little roundabout just before the roundabout over the A14. This is just on the east side of Kettering on the A14, and this decided it was going to slip over on this roundabout on some grease or oil or diesel. I'm not sure what happened. It went so quickly. 1 minute I was upright, the next minute I was lying on the ground. Lots of pain down here. Luckily there were 3 good Samaritans who stopped. One was on the phone to the ambulance, which didn't turn up or wouldn't turn up. One gentleman lived nearby and put the Marini on his drive until I could arrange for it to be recovered, and another gentleman took me into Kettering A&E, where eventually I was sorted out. Fractures of the ribs, fractures of the collarbone, this bit clavicle, fractures of the shoulder bone, and so I've got a few months out of action while this arm gets better. 2 weeks, it's feeling better, but it's just a bit sore across here. Enough about me. The important bit, the motorbike. You'll notice the brake lever's missing. I'll show photographs of that. That's the only real bit of damage. That snapped and pushed out of the way. I don't know about you, I refuse to call them perches. The brake and clutch lever black brackets I don't do up very tight. I do them tight enough so they won't move, but loose enough so that they'll swivel out of the way. Hence the mirror surviving. The throttle moved out of the way. There's not even a scuff on the end of here. No damage other than, excuse me, well, I'll put photographs up, that the gear change lever got scuffed. One I've printed, so I can print a new one out. The foot peg's got a scuff on it, but when it's down, you don't see it. And sadly, my stainless steel exhaust is scratched. Some of them quite deep. I think I'll be able to polish most of them out, but I'm not sure. So number 3, you'll notice my Honda's changed colour. It's no longer yellow. I've probably been whinging about my arthritic hips for a bit. On the run up to Christmas and this year, they were awful, and I was having struggle moving my big Honda Hornet 600 about the room and getting on and off it, swinging my leg over it. So I decided I needed to downsize. Since then, doing some physio exercises, hips have been a lot better, but I fancied something different anyway. I've been looking at different bikes, Suzuki V-twin 650s, Honda 404s, some off-road bikes, sort of supermoto ones. Although they're lighter, they're still too tall and I have trouble swinging my leg round. So I started looking at Honda CB1s, so the 404s. They're about 20 or 30 kilos lighter than my 600. The seat height is usefully lower, so I can get my leg over it nice and easily. They have a centre stand, which is nicer in the garage for working on it. It's a lot more stable. This will be the 4th or 5th Honda I will have had, so I know the quality's okay. This one came from a chap in Oxford who also happened to be in the Marini Owners Club. Only found that out when I was buying it. It was the price okay. I think if I'd haggled I could have got it cheaper, but I'm happy with what I paid for it. I know it's a doer-upper. Since I've noticed that the frame main spars have been painted with some sort of silver paint, brush painted, so that will need addressing. I'm not sure why, because there doesn't seem to be too much rust on it. The colour scheme seems to be unique. I cannot find another one like this. It appears to be like the CBX 1000. Someone's taken its colour scheme and copied it onto here, even though it has all the right logos. Well, nearly all the right logos for this. So the mudguard, tank and rear panel will need painting at some point. The seat looks all right, but it has a couple of splits where the grab rail is off. The grab rail's off, so I can de-rust the clips. I've got some seat fabric left from when I did this, so I think what I'm going to try and do is just cover this, just put it over the top and staple it into the base. The rear panel is a little bit loose and the bracket underneath here has snapped. So at the moment there's some zip ties hanging on, holding it on. So from front to back, what have I done so far? Well, the worst bit was the front brake. The pistons were completely stuck in there. Well, not completely. You could pull the lever and feel it trying to squeeze the disc, but there wasn't really much braking force. Probably shouldn't have ridden it back from Oxford like that, but we got there. So that's the first thing. Second thing I discovered is there's only one cable coming out of the throttle. That was a little bit stiff. I've had to put some grease oil in the throttle tube. I've had to put some oil down the throttle cable because that looked a bit bad, but there is only one and there should be two. So there should be a pull and there should be a closed throttle, and there isn't. So there's two throttle cables I've got waiting to do that. The rubbers, a bit weird, but these rubbers were up here and they're supposed to be down there. And I'm guessing that's because the rubber at the front that supports the front of the tank had almost completely gone. So I put a new rubber in there, moved these back here, that fits okay. The tank appears to be absolutely fine inside. The carburation needs some seeing to though. So I've got a new filter, air filter, and when I'm better, I'll be able to take the tank off, take the air filter box off, check the carbs. It's got a choke lever because it's carbs, and that doesn't appear to have much movement on it when you apply. The gear change lever was slightly too high for me, so I've lowered that so I don't have to move my leg. That's just comfort. I've got the frame to clean up, I've got the engine to clean up. Right, we're repositioned now. Indicator and bungee strap was bent, so I've straightened those. I need to do some measuring though, because I didn't notice it at the time, but the centre of the number plate is slightly off the centre of the wheel. I know they say Honda swinging arm marks aren't very accurate, so I've got to check wheel alignment, and then I've got to check the subframe alignment, and it may be it's had a little bit of a clonk here that's just twisted it slightly, and I'll have to deal with that. It steers and rides straight, it revs out, it runs very well though. So that's all that's happened so far. My friend whose Mondial I was working on has probably worked out I've got more on my plate than I can maybe manage, so it's likely he's going to be taking those bits to get somebody else to look at it, because well, it's going to be Christmas before I'm working on that, because I want to get this finished and I want to get this repaired. Otherwise, once this is back, we'll be back in the workshop working. Thank you.